kind of a bit of an even like spread, right, in what maps they'll play.
Yeah, that is true. Like, if you look at, I was just taking a look at some of the maps they're, you know, they're not comfortable playing on. Like, you have Cash, you have Train. These are two maps that, you know, surprisingly most CIS teams do like playing. But it's going to be perma bans here. Like, it's a very standard, you know, ban phase I'm expecting to see from these two teams. The problem here is the fact that, like we said, Spirit, they've been playing together for such a long time. They have a much better, deeper map pool and a better record in most of these maps compared to Nemiga. So it's going to be really hard for Nemiga over here. Now, there are two ways to go about this. Firstly, it's the best of one. So you're going to kind of see middle of the pack map. You're not really going to see a really good map for either team coming out here. So for Nemiga, if you're Nemiga, you're a new team. You know, comparatively a new team. You don't have that much experience compared to Spirit. You want to kind of throw in a curveball over here. Try and go for a map which might catch Spirit off guard. But to touch upon what you said, Pimp, you know, as Spirit, when you see an experienced team and a new team facing off against each other, some people will be like, yeah, we want to see an upset happening. But I believe in experience. I believe in homework. I believe in grinding it out. And no matter what map's going to be picked up over here, I think you know, Spirit are going to have the upper hand. But I think Nemiga could make things a little easier for them if they do try to go for a little bit of an unorthodox map pick.
All right, guys, well, we're not going to be able to see the veto just yet. It's actually going to go straight to the commentators. So our first game is going to be taken away with a man you are very familiar with and a man who's giving you a bit of a blast from the past. It's Jason Kaplan and Tom Biz.
See, I like to call it the reverse Semler, going from Overwatch back to CS. That's what I say, kind of thing. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for the pre-match analysis as we're about to get this underway. Tom, this is going to be exciting because not only are you here finally live in Katowice, casting the CS Minor, you're not at home doing it for once.
Yeah, I've casted quite a few like CIS minors in like back in the day from home, like just sat there doing the full day by myself. So I have to say it's a nice upgrade from ESL just to pretty much bring everyone here. Obviously, I think that's sort of been the thing over the last few years is that people have really upped their game when it comes to the minors. And I have to say I love it. It's the build up to the biggest tournament in Counter-Strike. You have to up your game. You have to have pretty much all of the teams here. Obviously, like I said, when it came, or like they said on the desk, like there's a few teams that maybe should have been getting through to the minor that didn't, like Fours, who have been sort of on the up recently. But I think we're definitely going to have some fantastic competition on our hands over the next couple of days.
And I think this is probably one of the hardest regions to actually predict in terms of who's going to win, because
they got away with it.
Yeah, they did. They didn't have to do any sort of predictions there. But, you know, coming to the map of Mirage, it seems, statistically, Spirit is the better team. 88% win rate across 8 maps, 45% for their opponents. And that's kind of worrisome, right? You would assume Spirit should be able to win this then.
Yeah, realistically, they should be the team going forward and taking this one fairly easily. It's more the match later on in the day. By the looks of things, are we already into the pistol? Right? We really are just racing through this one already. Nemiga, they've got the opening pick. They've also got the bomb down.
All right, nice little afterplant situation too. Some utility use out of Lollipop, at least with that Molotov. And Spirit's only going to have that smoke, and Softbank already been taken extremely low as he's able to trade out a frag apiece. And MDS comes up big, taking out some Young. And now it's going to be a 2-on-4 here, Tom.
Yeah, this is already looking like an impossible situation. Probably just going to look to try and save the extra utility, even just the Kevlar. It's not the best scenario, but obviously it's something to bring into the next round. Davkos will do a bit of extra damage, but a great start from Nemiga. And, well, Softbank on the other side of the map, he's at least got away with a kit and a smoke. But yeah, realistically, like going forward into this one, the player I'm actually looking at the most, at least on the Nemiga side, is going to be Lollipop. And the sole reason for that is any like youngster, any player that I see that gets picked up by Blade, I always sort of watch them along the way because we talk about like Simple, we talk about Electronic. Like he was sort of the one that like almost brought them into the light. I think even Davkos was over on that team for a little bit as well. Like he just seems to be a man who finds good young talent. Now, obviously the flip side sort of project has fallen apart recently. I believe they are a one-man roster of Markelov, which definitely isn't ideal, but yeah, I think if he's brought him into that roster, even if it was only for a few months, I think there has to be something there. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing like Gambit in action as well with Axile, because a 16-year-old that's been brought straight into Gambit, obviously ex-major winners. You sort of have to go, this kid's got to have something.
Yeah, he has to, and I think he's might going to be able to prove it here, actually, today. What's for me interesting is the fact that we have had a sort of holiday, a sort of like vacation, obviously, with the holidays coming around back in December, and we've had about 9 days, I think, for most teams to actually prepare for the minor. And for a team like Spirit, who have even said in an interview with HLTV, talking about how they like to anti-strat, they like to be the team that prepares specifically for their opponents, and they've had time to do so, but they need to make it show here, because this is the big deal for them, right? They need to get into the major.
Yeah, I think also the thing to mention as well is there's a lot of sort of CIS teams that do almost, I want to say, save themselves for the majors, because like you talk about flip side in the past, obviously the amount of majors they made in a row was ridiculous and never should have happened based off like previous years. Like you sort of look at the way they were playing all the way through the year, then they get to the major and they get like straight through, and you're like, I don't know how they've done this.
A big rotation coming in from Kitchen, and Joe's gonna have a shooting spree here as he takes down 3 players. Eventually gonna fall, but hey, the damage is done, the money's been made, and we're gonna see Nemiga pick up another round here on the board here in just a few seconds.
Yeah, it's interesting to note as well that in terms of like finances, a lot of teams like to make sure they get like the big buy with the AWPs. They have everything they desire. So they normally sort of force buy like we used to see in the old meta and then save the next round and have everything extra. Team Spirit have not done that. They've gone straight for the sort of AUGs. They do have an AWP, but limited utility, no kit, and not even armor onto Dav cost. So they've gone for the sort of riskier purchase here. I'll be interested to see if Nemiga are just going to play a bit of a bonus round and may have the chance to do some heavy damage to, say, players who don't have head armor or no armor at all.
I think this is also a very important round for them, too, because they can get their foot in the door, right? 3 wins straight in a row. Put Spirit on a little bit of an edgier buy coming into the next round. But like I said, the AUG's going to be picked up here. Soft pick going to be looking to hold over towards B. And it seems like that's where Nemiga wants to go. But they're taking their time. And I can respect that. You know, there's no need to rush into anything just yet. You don't need to go too crazy. And speaking of rushing, they're going to come in. And Demon does take down the first and the second. Hitmouse is going to fall. And this is the round we need to see Spirit pick up.
Yeah, that's a fantastic start. It wasn't even that much of a sort of bonus round coming in. They had, I think, 1 SMG, and that is absolutely flawless. Even maybe that's what happens when you're in a flawless round. You just get a little bit of dubstep playing in the background.
Dubstep never dies. Good old Deadpool, too. Yeah, so fantastic start for them. And you saw the great position out of them as well. Dima just like lined them up and knocked them down, and really well done for them. But Nemiga, you have to wonder, how was that hit coming in? Because when they did cross through in towards Van, they were in the wide open. No one jumped out window to actually get a little bit of a different position towards Catwalk or maybe towards back of sight. And Spirit was able just to completely drop them in that round.
Yeah, but more importantly, completely flawless. That's the best way to start off a sort of run on your CT side. They now have all the utility, armor, everything they could ever desire over on their CT side. And the Ts have taken a big hit. It's not as it used to be where you do get those sort of extra bonus rounds to make that extra cash. They've actually, well, pretty much been left with what will be an eco going into the next round if they don't manage to pull off something a little bit more impressive in this one.
And the utility is going to be a little bit lacking here, as you can see as well. Just a couple of smokes, a couple of flashes on top of that. And they're actually going for a pretty wide spread, so more of like a standard kind of strat. Get control of middle early on, and then work from there as a pivot point later. And Lollipop, you know, the man you wanted to see as well as like a real standout here, potentially for Nemiga, he's actually off by himself over towards B, expecting a potential push or just to kind of cover another angle.
Yeah, this is looking like one of those rounds where they're hoping for an opening on one side of the map. I kind of combine the words there. They're looking for a hopening. And
it's actually pretty good. I actually like the word. They're hoping for an opening, hoping for a chance to get a quick frag and turn it into a potential plant. I like it. I'll go with it, Tom.
The problem is, though, is it just gives individual duels, and I don't think you want to be doing that with Team Spirit. They've got a lot of firepower over on their side, and already some weaponry missing. You have an AK there, that's an easy frag, and now he's getting caught out from short. Dima with a simplistic kill, and now the push looks to come back in, but they've done no damage across the rest of the map. It's already a 4 versus 3 even, as they quickly lose one onto the entry, and that is going to be a bomb plant down. However, lots of players looking for that rotation in.
All they have is a flash and a smoke to hold on to this. 4 players left. That's going to be a big kill to Coldy to eliminate that sort of short control. Robo going to try to rotate in to cover off this thing, and it comes down to Lollipop now to hold on from that 3-man push in from Kitchen, but the bomb is taken away. Time is running thin for Spirit, but not shots, as SDY picks up that big kill.
Yeah, and they almost made that look too easy. I think just the early damage needed to be more. When you have one of those split rounds where you have players sort of in a D fort around the map, if you just lose both of those openings and then go to push into a site, you're almost just going for a Hail Mary. You're hoping that you can sort of get those openers and play from the after plant, and Team Spirit never looked like they were in trouble anywhere throughout that round.
I think Nemiga can be happy they actually got a plant down in that situation, losing those opening duels. But with Dima actually rotating towards short, pushing out, being spotted, I think that allowed Nemiga to actually get in towards that site and get the bomb down. But unfortunately, it's not really going to help too much. Just going to invest in some utility and some pistols and some armor here. Only head armor for Joe. And they're even trying to get some sort of mid-control, at least try to fake it out of Lollipop, but This seems to be a very standard hit. And Spirit actually giving them a lot of real estate to work with, too. They're not trying to hold on site. They're trying to play for the retake because they know they're going to have the weaponry advantage here. And they know that they're going to have potentially their first lead here of the minor.
Yeah, I think they need a bomb plant, though, Nemiga. Like, the money's not particularly good for them. They invested quite a lot, so a bomb plant is sort of a minimum here if they're going to have a decent buy going into the next round. Now, they have managed to cross over to the site, and as you said, it does look like a retake play, but the spray through the smoke, that's enough. There shouldn't be a bomb plant coming in now. Some Young looking to do it all on his own as he's just denying everything, and he's still alive. I don't know how they haven't managed to finish him off. He was almost completely alone. Another flawless round from Team Spirit. And bear in mind, I think the 3 rounds they've won, they've lost 1 player.
Yeah, I mean, you can see right there, I think it was Saltfig, actually, potentially the player that went down earlier on. But this is really well done out of Spirit. Got to give him credit for that one, too. But Nemiga, so close to getting that bomb down. But realistically, even if they got the bomb planted, they had no utility to hold on to the site. They had no utility to make sure that bomb could explode and, you know, get the extra money in their pockets, and more importantly, the round. So there's no real chance for them to maintain that. And now, unfortunately, they're going to be back on the save here into round 6.
Yeah, well, I have to say I'm quite interested by the amount they are investing over these last few rounds, especially considering the success, but they're going to just speed things up straight in towards the site. Cody up above, gets a little bit stuck on the ladder, but it doesn't matter. It's just going to be another flawless round. This is starting to get a bit too scary. Losing 1 player in 4 rounds is ludicrous.
So they've tried Nemiga now to slow things down on the T side, right? And the first real gun round, we saw them slow things up, go for the mid control, and then eventually to get the bomb down towards B. Then they switched the pace up there, trying to be super aggressive, super fast pace, but they weren't able to clear over towards Palace. So they weren't able to dismantle that kind of hold. And again, no real chance to really make anything happen in that round. They have to look into round number 7 as potentially being some sort of saving grace as they're finally able to forward the op over to Robo. But he's got a lot of work to do.
Go peeking into mid, down for the opener, and almost gets caught out, but there's more aggression on the other side of the map as well. The push through underpasses, Dima finds the pick for the CT side, and again, it's a troublesome situation. They should be able to clear him. If he gets anything more, it's a problem, and while he does a lot of damage to Joe, but realistically, actually he goes down to the nade afterwards. I was going to say, he's still standing. Either way, trade's coming back, and it will be set into a 4-2 scoreline, but a 3v2 in the round. Every time I do that, someone dies. Every time.
Stop doing it. Just stop cursing them here.
Stop talking.
All right, well, they're actually going to be able to have the bomb here and rotate back towards the A site. And Hitmouse is going to have to hit a hell of a shot here to open up towards the site, because we can already see Spirit stacking, it looks like, over towards us as well. I have a player in CT, about 2 players in CT, and 1 to hold very passively towards the B site. But eventually, the gig will be up. And Davkos is just, he's barreling down this angle. This is going to be so tough to hit this shot here if you're Hitmouse.
Ooh, he's given an opening, though. Still, there's a couple of men towards the CT position, and they don't have a smoke for it. They should be absolutely screwed here. The Molotov will give them a little bit of space to try and get the plant down, but they've got to go now, and the fact is there's even a little bit of space for Davkos to sneak forward. I think this round is done, unless somehow they can get past Sotfik and maybe sneak their way into the B side, but it's just not going to be happening, and they really need to sort of gain some ground into CT.
They could plant towards Catwalk, actually, if they wanted to here. It looks like it's going to be actually put down, but the post-plant defense here out of Nemiga is going to be rough. A lot of HP to work with for Team Spirit, not to mention the AWP out of the hands of Hitmouse. Now Robo all alone against 3. Molotov off towards the side. He's not able to hit the shot. Davkos will shut this down, and this is 5 straight now for Team Spirit.
Yeah, but that's the closest that Nemiga have even come in any of these rounds. It has been dominant from Team Spirit, and you can see how just calm and collected they are. They don't seem to mind at all if Nemiga are getting the bomb plant. It's like, okay, you can have the bomb plant, but we are well set up for any sort of retake that's necessary. And even just the confidence that we're seeing coming out from Team Spirit is the sort of confidence that you don't want to see this early in the game. If they're jumping into underpass, they then have the player come back and push into mid and try and take a fight there, almost get away with a kill. Then other players pushing back into the connector. They're starting to get to a point where they may just run over Nemiga.
See, I wonder if this comes down to preparation for Team Spirit. The fact that Dima, like you said, can get into underpass, get that quick frag onto Lollipop, and then back away and do another 90 damage to another player, like that ideally should not happen, but maybe that's the realization of like how they go for their standard default rounds on the T side. They like to send 1 player towards B, 3 towards mid, potentially 1 over towards A to watch a push. You can see that, yeah, there's some frustration, I think, on Nemiga's side, and obviously there should be, you know, considering you've had some time to prepare for this. This is the biggest event of the year so far, because it's January, huh? But this is a major event, and this is your chance to prove to everyone out there, and not to mention prove to your organization that you deserve to be in the major. And there's still a lot of teams out there to fight through.
Well, yeah, sort of no matter when the tournament is, it still leads to the biggest tournament in Counter-Strike. And I think the sort of CIS region, and obviously Asia as well, come under a lot of flack for like, okay, they should be combined with the other ones, and everybody should, basically, like, everybody loves EU, which is understandable when you look how stacked the tournament is. But I think it's definitely worth pointing out that pretty much over the last few majors, at least, every single time there's been a CIS team that sort of makes their way through the minors, or at least has done it before, and then surprises us when they shouldn't do. Like Vegas Squadron, they had pretty much a full overhaul of their squad. They had arguably their 2 best players leave. Mid, obviously now in Gambit, he was the one that was sort of the star of the show, and he was gone, and they still managed to upset a load of teams going into the major. You talk about, obviously, the craziest one was QB Fire, now Winstrike, who managed to get top 8 major, going all the way through the minor system from the very beginning, from qualifying for the minor, qualifying for the major qualifier, and then making it all the way to top 8. It's something that you don't even see a lot of the EU teams doing. Now, obviously, this time you've got teams like Mousesports who are expected to get Legend. That's what they're expected to do. They wouldn't want anything less than that, and probably even want more. But at the same time, I still always sit there and go, every time I'm like, nah, it's not going to happen this time for CIS, and then somebody does it.
And looking at maybe even other regions, thinking back to MIBR when they were known as Luminosity, actually back in, I think, 2015 here, they made it through into the Legend stage, playing against VP. To go through to the next part of the tournament, and they unfortunately did fall, but the fact that they made it through, they're able to represent their region, was very nice to see. And I think kind of one of the unfortunate parts about CIS compared to like Europe is there's not as many like big organizations, so you have a lot of like the top teams like your Gambits use these other teams as like feeder teams to take the best players from them to make the best team from the CIS region, and it makes it really hard to stick together as a team and kind of evolve as a team when you know any moment someone could be poached off your roster.
Yeah, the other thing as well is that even if, say, a player is poached, sometimes, like for example, Lollipop, the man currently on our screen, he can be picked up by someone, then drop back straight. Like Flipside was the one at the time, pick him up. It's like then the organization folds, he goes straight back down. You look, for example, Fitch on Avangard, he was in Gambit, then they go, actually, he doesn't really work for our team, we're going to just drop him off, and then he bounced around for a few different teams, eventually getting back into the Avangard roster, and it's like, it becomes very, very messy, because it's sort of like, we'll give this guy a chance. Oh, it doesn't work. Okay, now we can give this guy a chance, because he's also very good. Oh, we can give this guy, and eventually, of course, we get someone like Electronic come up, who played in, I think it was the team Rebels, was absolutely ridiculous. I think he helped me cast it, or he didn't help me cast, but helped in the game, my longest ever game. It was 68-round map.
Dear Lord.
And it was basically him versus the whole of Gambit. He had an absolutely ridiculous score by the end. I don't know if someone actually found it. Last time I said this, someone found it and sent it to me. So if they want to do that again, I always love looking at the stats, but that was like the first time I ever saw him like play. He then gets picked up by Flipside, easily the best player in that team. Like, he was absolutely fantastic. Now, well, we've got the top 5 coming soon of the HLTV rankings, and I'm pretty certain he's going to be in there. So it really does show that, like, well, the best way to put it is, okay, we've got, like, obviously Astralis, like, sort of owning the top 20. The top 5 is going to have 2 players from the CIS region. So there's definitely talent here.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, even thinking back to 2015, doing the qualifiers here for ESL in Cologne, seeing Waylander and Waterfalls when they were playing on Peter as a team. Like, they kind of surprised everyone with what they could do. Seeing them on Mirage time and time again, seeing like the damage that could be done. That's ideally why I like the minors. You get to see teams you're not used to, players not used to as much. And this is not only a showing ground for the teams, it's a showing ground for the individual players as a chance to potentially be picked up by another team or another organization and make your way up the ranks.
Well, okay, we got tactical for Nemiga.
Yeah.
That's why this is now ongoing. I believe it may have been some sort of tech pause beforehand, so we should be getting out of this fairly soon. Another team I'm actually really looking forward to as well is obviously the new Winstrike. Like, you've got the likes of World Edit. Now, I've always said that whenever I saw him in the sort of Flipside roster, I feel like he was chained. And whenever you saw him in the likes of Team Russia, you saw the guy unleashed. Now, I think this Winstrike roster is going to be a much more sort of free-flowing team, like players allowed to take aggressive peeks, allowed to sort of play the positions they like. I'm really looking forward to seeing them come up, and that's, I believe, actually our next game. So them versus the likes of Runtime. Either way, I think we filled that pretty well. We're going to be going into round number 8 Nemiga, they've got themselves a purchase on the board, but even still, there's a few limitations in terms of utility. And on the other side, we're, like I said, round number 8, $12,000, $12,000, $12,000, 3 different players.
And at the moment, the top fragger for Nemiga is actually Joe at 3, tied with Robo, but no flash assist yet, which is a pretty big deal. And again, Dima. I think if you're Nemiga here, you can't allow him to get confident. And we already talked about his confidence jumping out window, going underpass, getting the pick in towards Lollipop at B. He pushes mid, gets a frag, backs away, and gives them the easy man advantage into the round. Like, where's the refrag, right? That's what we need to see happen a little bit more for Nemiga and take that confidence away from him.
Oh, the timing here is going to be so important. Some Young actually goes down. So he knows a player in mid, but they've completely missed the push into the window. Look at the wraparound coming in on towards the B site. This is very well played from Nemiga. They're waiting patiently for him to make his move as the rest of the players are going to go backing in towards the B site. Now, that was so close to actually being spotted there, but Joe has the chance to really do the damage onto the man on short, and that's the only person anywhere near this B site. And there you go, easy as you like. Kill in, and the site's open for business. Massive
kill too, because that means Nemiga doesn't have to use any utility to get in towards that B site. They just have to take down Dima, who's trying to hold on to this pretty much by himself. Bongbi dropped down. Gonna be planted here in just a few seconds. Now it's gonna be a 3-on-3 after plant here for Nemiga. They have the Molotov and the flash. But do they have what it takes to take down this man on your screen? He already has 8 frags in this round. Again, adds another one towards his tally.
The ball's on this man. He's on his own. The rest of the team haven't even moved yet. Dima's just trying to do it alone. And actually, Davkos managed to find the man in the apartments. It's left all onto Lollipop. He is just screwed. They've ruined in there. I love that from Dima. Like, it's almost indefinitely the wrong play in most situations where it's like, okay, we have a 3v3. I'm just going to push it on my own and take the fights. Yeah. But the confidence this man has at the moment, he gets the opening pick. He sort of, wow, confuses the rest of the team as they're looking to just try and fight him.
I mean, you said it here, look at the minimap. They're nowhere near. That was Coldy, like, in back of kitchen, just getting there while Dima was in the site trying to look for the frag towards Van.
That's madness.
Well, we'll see if Nemiga can stop this, though, because 6-2 now. 6 rounds straight here for Team Spirit. It's not looking good, because this is only a best of 1.
Yeah.
We're going to start off today with best of 1s and switch over to best of 3s as our final match here in CIS later on. Robo looking for a quick push towards Palace, trying to change the pace up yet again. Davkos, though, going to open up with the first frag, and Coldy's not able to return.
Yes, a good trade early on. They're going to be able to get the bomb down quite comfortably as the rest of the players look to try and rotate in. I think they realized the sort of aggression that had been coming in over towards middle. So, yep, just go barreling into the site. The problem is that smoke does have a bit of a gap, but on both sides it gives some space. But MDS isn't able to capitalize. Davkos just ruins him. Joe's able to get one back, but there's still the remaining players pushing in. It's a bit of a ring around the rosy as Joe gets another, turns it into the 2 versus 2. Not much utility left for the T side to try and just flashbang these players out. That's all they've got. The push going to come in, and that's the victory they needed. Nice work from Some Young as well, and it looked close. Looked like it was possible. But Team Spirit, they still get the round again.
I'm like 80% sure MDS did swap that player on the side of the smoke in towards CT spawn, but he was looking for more. He's looking for more information, maybe 2 frags, instead of taking that one and just kind of trying to work with it. And that's unfortunate now for Nemiga because they lose another round here on the board. And interesting that Lollipop, he actually didn't peek from A ramp at all when they were pushed in towards the site from jungle and from short, or sorry, from connector.
Beta.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, because he didn't show himself, maybe Spirit didn't expect him to be there, but as you saw, Some Young expected it, got the frag, and more importantly, helped get the round on the board.
Ooh. Close, almost getting the opening pick. Davkos tagged, but actually not that low in the end. The damage through the wall isn't fatal, and that they are going into some fairly basic strategies now, just trying to brute force their way onto this A side. This time, though, the setup far better from the CT side. They found that opening pick as well, and this is one of those rounds that you sort of don't like to watch, where they're just trying to slowly push their way out. The interesting thing is, though, they've not been spotted.
Either way, though, it looks like Spirit's going to be playing for the retake nonetheless. I'm so surprised to see Dima get away with so many frags without actually being refragged on.
Yeah.
Time and time again, it seems to be happening. And now we have the smokes coming in. Robo's already pushed up. The connector smoke, actually, it was a missed. And that's what it cost Robo to actually fall here. Davkos gets a frag on a Joe with the nade. And just like that, an afterplay that should have been is now gone.
And another flawless round. Like, it's dominant from Team Spirit. Like, they may have a close one, but it seems like they are a team that, well, you said they like to do a lot of research, but I'm more impressed with the way they're adjusting. Like, in the previous round, they got rushed on the A site, so they were ready. They had 3 players there initially. They had some aggression onto short from Dima, who has not been shut down pretty much every time. Like, I don't know how much money he currently has in the bank. I know that in the last round, he had 10,000. And he's the most aggressive player on the CT side. That should never happen. Like, maybe the rest of the team at the bank, he should be the one that is falling a lot, but he's getting away with everything that he tries. And I think the biggest thing at the moment, although it's obviously silly to sort of counter one player, that could be a great opener for the T side. Try and get that frag, try and find the man who's pushing, then just work on your default, because you can't work on your default at the moment because he could be pushing anywhere.
And the thing is, their default, the first real gun round was 3 mid, 1 towards B, and then 1 over towards A. And yet, they're not shutting him down at all in the mid section. So I want to see them actually potentially do that, as actually switching things up. Looks like they're going to be going for a big, quick push over towards B as we see them looking at spawn. And it looks like they will go for the set play here. But again, Dima, he's already there. So instead of actually going towards mid, which I think Davkos is holding, so he doesn't need to, he's rotated back towards B, playing a little bit passive, and now they see the Molotov smokes, everything coming in. We're going to see if Nemiga can get the bomb down.
Oh, the answer is no. It's already just 3 kills coming in for Sophic. He doesn't even need the support of Dima, and wow, again, it's another near flawless round. Sophic with a multi-frag to start things off, and you even sort of have to wonder if there's even just counter nades coming in a lot of the time. Like, they're definitely buying the utility. We're seeing it invested into, but Sophic able to just hold the same angle to get 3 players and not be blinded, not be hit by any nades, no smokes, no molotovs, nothing. That's a problem.
Let's be fair, though. Nemiga was going for basically a full save there, so they can bat fully into this round. So they didn't really have too many flashes, but they did have the utility to use. It just didn't seem to hit the right points. It was like they didn't have the idea of where Spirit was going to be holding. A bit of a mid-smoke coming in, allowing them to potentially get this this position. But you can see Team Spirit, they're the ones now with a 3-man stack over towards mid.
Yeah, again, switching up their setups, taking control into mid. The thing is, that's been something they've enjoyed doing for a lot of the games. They really do sort of rely on both Coldie and Sophic to hold down their positions, and to be fair to them, they've done a pretty damn good job of it so far. This is now 9 rounds in a row for Team Spirit as they look to dominate their first match in the CIS Minor.
One thing I want to go back to and touch on that you mentioned before was the fact that Spirit aren't really losing that many players in these rounds, which means they have a ton of money, but you're not going to break their economy anytime soon, or at all in this half anymore. So you're going to have to fight tooth and nail every single round to get those on the board. And yet, again, Dima, initial frag goes to him, gets them the man advantage in this round. And we're looking at potentially like a 13-2 scoreline. That'd be almost impossible to come back from.
Yeah, I wouldn't see it happening at all, especially the way they've been playing so far. And it definitely looking like they're a little bit demoralized at the moment. Obviously, they did take a tactical pause to try and talk things through. Nothing has really changed. And then they are still just losing those opening battles to Dima every time. And he's now fallen back into the site. There's no more chance for an opening there. Young has gone a little bit more aggressive, though, in towards that mid window. He's got to be careful. He's just trying to basically catch off anybody who gets boosted in. That was pretty much the only way that they almost managed to lose a round. But he's actually going to be caught off. Davkos aggressive. Close up, looking for the pick, but actually caught out by MDS. And this is a decent chance now. The problem is the clock. They've only got 7 seconds left to get this bomb down. They will do just that. And now going into the retake, well, Dima's got to do it all alone.
Honestly, I wouldn't count him out, though, even in this 1-on-3. He's got time to work with. He's got full HP. He's got no utility, unfortunately, to use. As this man is the top fragger at the moment here for Team Spirit. It's not necessarily something he's going to need. And even spots out Joe over towards B, so now they're going to lose a potentially long flank towards CT. Going to have...
Oh, no. Oh, he's trying to fake it out. I like the idea, but MDS well positioned for the open bomb plant. It almost seemed like the T side were already hunting for frags. Like, you look at the position of Joe all the way up in market. Now, I do understand in a normal situation trying to remove a lot of this weaponry.
But not in a 9-2 situation.
Not in this spot. Like, the chance of you actually doing enough damage to break this economy is slim to none. Like, you'd pretty much have to just flawlessly win the next few rounds. And even then, I think there's going to be a purchase for the last 3 rounds of the half. But we are going to see a pause called.
By the way, I just want to update you guys really quickly. If you're watching the A stream and not the B stream, Simon Gaming is actually up 9-4 against Gambit on Train. A team that let's be honest, let's be completely blunt about this, a team we almost wrote off coming into this because as completely the underdog in their group, and yet they're beating Gambit. That's insane. At CT side, Train, obviously, a little bit of a different story, but still, if they can keep that momentum going. I'm not sure if you guys are hearing the screaming that we're hearing here in the studio, but I'm assuming that's coming from their side.
Well, we're now going to throw in that double AWP setup, something that Team Spirit have pretty much always run. Like since this roster has been created, they love their CT side double AWP on Mirage. Sophic going to be picking up the secondary. Now, his finances are starting to run a little bit low, but the rest of the team is still around that $10,000 marker, and the T's are on a reset here. If they lose this round, they're straight back to nothing for the last couple of rounds of the half. So a pretty integral one for them. A 9-6, really just standard on this map. So if they can bring it back to that scoreline, there really isn't that much worry for them. Right. Although obviously there's going to be that little sort of bit in the back of your mind where we did lose 9 rounds in a row, but even still, I think if you end the half 9-6, you're thinking, okay, we brought it back. This just
makes the victory even better if you're like, yeah, we were down 9 rounds straight, but we came back. But also looking at this, the fact that Dima hasn't gotten a frag in the first 20 seconds of the round is a big win for Nemiga, as Robo actually takes down Davcost in towards middle. Sophic is going to be pushed up towards short. Dima will be left alone on his own devices over towards the B side, but that's a big kill out of Sophic. Does allow them to get the man advantage back. Not even a man advantage, actually just to tie things up between the two teams.
Yeah, switching up the sort of style of the peak onto short, it's always been sort of Dima looking for the player and underpass, but instead they now have the AWP in position. 30 seconds left coming up on the clock, so they do need to get their move on. It is looking like a B hit, and it's going to be Sophic, as you said, as the sort of lone defender, but now we've got that cross in. I'm going to try and hold it down. Still 20 seconds left. MDS is going to go down trying to take it onto short, so it's all just going to have to come in through the apartments. Sophic will miss, but Dima's here, and actually, the first time we've actually seen him get caught. Is he going to go down? Yes, he is. And that's now the site falling. It's left onto Coldie and Sumdayoung to try and retake this as the bomb will be planted.
We got Coldie coming in from short. SDY coming in from kitchen. Well, now just SDY up against 3. Does have the chance to pull this one back, but this is a huge round for Nemiga. Like I said before, don't want to be reset on their economy. It looks like SDY will just go for the save here. If you're him, I mean, with how much money you also still have, Dima's still at 10K, he has 8.5, Davkov has 8.1. I think make this costly. Try to get a couple of exit frags here, or even just potentially save this AWP to make it even easier into that next round.
Yeah, I think it may just be the idea of the double AWP. Like, it's quite a costly setup, so...
I mean, this is the first time they've run double AWP, though, right?
Yeah.
So, and they've lost this round. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that's a little bit worrisome, because it prevents Dima from being super aggressive towards short, towards middle, right? And it forces him to sit alone towards that B side, and he's been the big explosive player so far here for Spirit.
Yeah, I'm actually quite interested they didn't play it what I would say is the most standard way of sort of having Sophic aggressive into the apartments.
Right.
Taking that long peek, taking away the sort of surprise factor of a B push by just having a man just homed in on that angle. But either way, they're not going to go back for it. They saved the AWP and it's handed over to Mr. Davcost, and I don't mind them just switching back. Like, obviously, it's been the more successful of the plays to go for these sort of buys. The AWP save actually could make a bit of a difference to make sure that they do have a flawless buy if they are losing this round. Obviously, they'll still have a bit of loss bonus, and it won't be much of a problem anyway. But by the looks of things, they're going to try and switch it right back to a faster A play as they look to push into Davcost, and this time, not going to miss.
Nice little shot. Coldie's going to be here to pick up two quick frags, and Davcost not able to return onto another one or towards a ramp, but it seems like this is a round that Nemiga's just not going to have a chance to win. Coldie picks up a third in the round, and it's all on Robo up against 4 with the AWP. I will say this, though, it seems like the rounds Nemiga has gone fast, quick-paced, and aggressive has not worked out for them. The rounds that they've been winning are the slower rounds, where they've slowed things down, waited to the last 20 seconds to actually make a push in towards a side happen.
The other problem I have is, as well, that's not the first time we've seen Coldie do that from the exact same spot.
Yeah.
That's just, you're not clearing angles. So if he's able to sort of go for those aggressive peaks, like, I know obviously the more standard is to try and throw the Molotov down into that sort of dark position, but I think if you see a man peek out once and finish off 2 of your players, then the second time you have to be clearing. You have to make sure that he's not there again, even if it's just bouncing a couple of nades in there to make sure that he's gone. Instead, their buy for this final round of the half is pitiful.
Well, they got to make something happen off of it. 11-4. Not what you want to see happen, especially in your opening game here of the Minors for the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice Major. Just right around the corner. MDS already down to about 58 HP, but he does get out window relatively cleanly. Dima will quickly turn this one. They sold the fake. The push is coming towards A, but again, can they hold the after-plant situation? Can they even get the bomb down first of all here, Tom?
They do still have Coldie waiting around in the back angles, and it has to be said, the retakes on A from Team Spirit have pretty much been flawless. I don't know if they've actually lost a single one. I think it's been the B site where they've actually been losing a lot of the rounds. Ooh, weaponry not even been picked up either because, well, nobody's died over on the CT side, so it is just a push. Looking to come back in. Nice work from Joe to at least find one, but he's quickly traded out, and while just continuing his reign of terror with this AUG, Sophic manages to pick up another. They've even spotted the man up close, but Lollipop is surviving at least for now. However, that doesn't last long, and the last man is over onto that short position. The problem is they know, and already smoking off onto the bomb. He has to try and hit the shots through the smoke, and he does get it as well. That's the man on the diffuser. Gets a second, and all of them done! Great work from Hitmouse to get a 5th round on the board, and that's at least a little bit of life left in Nemiga.
Ladies and gentlemen, that should almost never happen. That spray down onto the diffuser as well. Picks up a 3K to save the round here for Nemiga. But unfortunately, we do have to head to a short break. But when we come back, we're going to be kicking off here the second half of our first match of the day. Welcome back, everyone, to the CIS Minors for the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2019 Major, live here from Katowice, Poland. You can see on your screens earlier on the Spodek Arena, which all these teams were looking to get to in just a few months' time. But they do have to get through these this next week to actually qualify to play against the best teams in the world here. I'm joined by Tombiz as we kick off the second half, and Nemiga, that was a hell of a comeback for them, considering it was a 9-2 scoreline. They were able to pull back 3.
Yeah, one of them in crazy, crazy fashion with a 1v3 clutch to end out the half. It sort of pays you. You go to a break, you're like, I want to see more after that, but either way, it's going to be a quick pistol round coming in from the T side. They're looking to try and split in towards this A site. Now, it's looking like more of a retake setup currently in for the CT side, and you can already see Lollipop just like, yep, you want to challenge me, CT, you're going to do it on my terms because I'm not taking those aggressive fights. And that's exactly what the T side want to do. They really want to go pushing in, but there's going to be a stack of players looking to try and fight that spot back.
It's going to cut down to the aim here at a Spirit too, because they have no flashes, no smokes, no nades to use, but a big little stack coming in as well here towards CT spawn. They run around the corner into the gauntlet, and they just shut them down.
Do you know what's funny there? So Nemiga, you actually said it at the time, there was no flash for the T side. Nemiga were ready for a flash. Like, you had 2 players sort of in the little crevice in the side, playing anti-flash, ready for when they flashed. No one flashed, so they went, oh, we got to face this, don't we? And that was just absolute slaughter. Yep. Young, 3 kills, 3 headshots. the Glock just spamming away. And while that's not what Nemiga wanted going into the second half, already losing themselves the pistol round, and they're going to have to just save here.
And more importantly, they're losing that confidence they just got off the last round of the first half. That big 3K coming through to save them that round, to put them on a 10-5 scoreline or a 5-10 scoreline. That's just been completely shut. And look at Team Spirit now, not giving up an inch, playing slow, sticking together, not giving up any weapons. I mean, out of all the rounds they played, let's see, out of the 9 streak they did have, I think they had a maximum of like 5 deaths over the course of 9 rounds.
Yeah, it was something insane.
So we'll see if they can do it here yet again. Try not to lose a single man. And Nemiga, they're not out just yet, but they have a hell of a lot of work to do.
No, it's going to be a similar start to what we saw in the previous half, where we sort of have this buy as a little bit of a almost bonus run. You can see Davkos actually just going straight for a pistol. I'm not a huge fan of that, especially when you do still see a lot of teams forcing into this second round and like really making sure that you have obviously the AWPs and everything. But I suppose they're going to have played against Nemiga plenty of times and know that.
Was Foon just playing?
Jeez,
it's insane. I can understand what you're saying about Davkos and the pistol, but maybe that shows the confidence in his teammates.
Yeah, or even just the confidence in knowing what their opponents are going to do. Because I do feel like there are a lot of sort of CIS teams who are more likely to just go, well, we can do it with just the rifles. However, already doing a little bit of damage. Davkos fairly low as well. Now, obviously, he doesn't have much to lose, but it's his teammates that have all the rifles, all the extra weaponry. The thing is, though, if Davkos manages to save weapon, I was going to say, and they don't lose anyone else, then it's not such a problem. But actually, Robo's managed to do a hell of a lot of damage, taking down 2 players. They now lose a lot of the extra weaponry they had. There's no sort of bonus round left for them. And actually, Robo's now able to get a glass cannon AWP just off those 2 headshots.
All right, well, he's going to need to hit some big shots here, too, to pull them back in this one. Really well done as well with the kind of bait in towards Shadow. You had 2 players there. One was just hiding, waiting for his teammate to kind of die. Then SDY, you saw he didn't expect a second player to be there. So when you round the corner, look towards jungle, he actually just got popped in the head a couple times in the backside. There we go, into the next round. Even though the investment, the AWP for Nemiga, look at the utility they have. Pretty much nothing. So it's going to come down to just this raw aim. Hopefully for their sake, a couple of picks here. It looks like Dima's going to be leading the charge. This connector hasn't been smoked off.
Yeah, the interesting thing, though, is that you don't actually see Davkos bringing that AWP. Nice entry from Dima again. He seems to be the man finding all of those first frags, and this is already a problem. CT side may have to consider saving unless Lollipop can go big. 2 kills the third, almost there. And he's given his team an opportunity in this retake. The problem is, we spoke about limitations. They don't have a kit. They don't have much utility. But they do have the frags. It's left all onto Sotfik. 1 versus 2. Doesn't have the best position, especially for this bomb. It's currently planted quite far back, and they're already just going to smoke off. He needs to catch them as they look to cross over, and it seems like they're going to try and get over anyway. Luckily, that player was low, but it is going to be won by the CT side, and I don't think that should have happened. Like, that was one of those rounds where sort of the 3v2 situation ensues, and you go, they don't have much to get back into this round. Yeah. How are they going to do it? But 2 frags out of nowhere. And
Lollipop with the big play as they try to enter the site, trying to hold from Ticket Booth there. Really well done. And you mentioned, by the way, about Davkos. He didn't invest into the AWP, probably due to how many people died in the round prior. He had to actually drop an AK to a teammate. But this play here, this is what they needed. This is the massive play to allow them. Yeah, he 100%. 100%. Just escapes barely into Palace. But Nemiga still... There's some signs of life in them. It's just they're not really able to string these together into, consistent rounds, into opening frags, but they do have the weapon advantage coming into round 19.
Yeah, in the next round we should see a sort of better buy coming in from Team Spirit. AWP I would expect, especially with the amount of money that Davkos is currently saving. If not, probably would have got some Kevlar or maybe dropped an extra pistol or 2 to a teammate. But this round for Team Spirit, more about damage, and the opposite for obviously Nemiga. They want to keep everybody alive. They want to make sure into the next round they have all the utility they want, kits on the majority of players. This is interesting for me, for Robo, because, yeah, you've just given Davkos an AWP. That's not what you want to be doing. Luckily, I think they should be able to just trade this out fairly comfortably, but that's sort of a risk you don't really need to be taking. Obviously, you still have the sort of moment of, okay, I want to gain a bit of confidence. I want to try and gain some eco frags, but don't do it with an AWP in mid.
It's high risk, low reward.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like very odd because, yeah, you can get that 1 frag. Great, you have a man advantage when they're saving. But the downside is you lose that AWP, Davkos gets it, and he wins the round for his team. So a little bit questionable out of Nemiga, but maybe playing a little bit questionable is what they need against Spirit, because we already talked about before how Sumda Young did say they like to prepare specifically for the teams they're going to be going against and try to pull off some anti-strats.
Maybe
12-7.
Maybe that in itself was an anti-strat and they didn't prepare at all.
The anti-strat of the anti-strat.
It's like, we prepared loads for you. I've just been sat there eating fast food. No, that's my life, not theirs. Anyway.
Let's not talk about what you texted me this morning, all right? When it comes to that.
Well, some aggression coming out from the CTs once again. The AWP looking to try and find the opener towards ramp. A little bit of a dink onto Lollipop. Was that through a smoke? I'm actually interested with, yeah, because he was the man just playing around. They AWP'd in towards Palace, and his teammate gets shot in the head through the wood. So that's quite unlucky. Nice start from Hitmouse, though. Even with the FAMAS, definitely not the weapon you expect to see just sort of wrecking faces with ease, but
a big kill onto a big player here for Dima. Davkos currently, by the way, leading at 21 frags for his team. Dima at 18.
Yeah, I think Dima definitely had, in my eyes, the most impact frags, though. Like, the 100%. Amount of, like, first kills, I think, that must be on the board at the moment is fantastic. But, again, the man advantage is sticking at the moment. The T's unable to find any openings in towards these sites. Is left on to just 2. Nice work from Davkos to finish off 1. And Cody actually picks off another. They now got an opportunity here. And the peek out from Robo. He had no support once again. You talk about the plays that Dima were making. He's just tried to do the same thing 2 rounds in a row. Both time he's been caught out. And now Lollipop's left in a 1v2 clutch.
Luckily for him, though, he's coming in towards Palace. He does have the kit and 1 flash. But up against 2. It's going to be tough. He needs to eliminate Davkos somehow, who has those 2 frags on the board in this round. He's actually going to be holding over towards bench while Coldie's going to be pushed in towards kitchen. Let's see if he can somehow do this. The thing is, there's so many angles he has to clear. He has to get this big frag, and he's going to be able to do it here as he takes down Davkos. Now up against Coldie. Is he going to stick this? Coldie's not checking it because he's low on HP. He's finally going to come around slowly, but the defuse is not going to come in as Coldie gets the angle. And Coldie will save the round here for Team Spirit.
Yeah, that was unbelievably close, but again, that was a 4v2. That never should have happened. That was a round that Team Spirit were almost definitely out of. They get 2 opening picks, and then there's the play from Robo. And that's the one I have to question the most. He goes for a sort of peek in with the AWP when his teammate is nowhere to be seen. And obviously, we spoke about the sort of plays being made by Team Spirit. Obviously, I said it at the time, it's like the play that Dima made was one that you don't normally make because it's risky, because a lot of the time if you play as a team, you're going to win. Now, Lollipop was left in an impossible situation. And the fact is, he almost manages to pull it off as well because Coldie's a little bit further away. Obviously, then you also have to give the props to Davkos, though. Doesn't miss a shot.
Yeah, he's been playing fantastic. Again, still leading his team in frags at 23. Just want to point out one thing that really interests me is that Dima's at 7-3 in opening duels.
Yeah.
And then you have Davkos at 4-1. The highest player on the side here for Nemiga is Robo at 3-2. And then you have 2 players at 0-3, 0-6. So that's not really what you want to see, especially for Nemiga here. But credit where credit's due to these 2 big players here out of Spirit.
The other thing to mention as well, though, is one of the ones for Robo, it was when he had an AWP peeking into mid, and he was traded out by Pistol straight away. So
True.
It's sort of like it's all way up. It's like, yeah, you got an opening kill. You also gave them an AWP, but either way, it's into SMGs. It's a risky purchase up and almost managing to find that opening kill. Actually, Robo this time, you can't really fault him. 2 quick kills with the MP9 and, well, a trade not really coming in. They're looking for it, but it's the AWP around the corner. Davkos surely doesn't want to take this risk, but it looks like he's going to go over it. What is that? Just hits the no-scope onto Robo. Absolutely ruined. Oh, that's got to hurt. That's got to hurt so much.
Hashtag just Davkos things.
He is on fire at the moment. And the worst thing is now that, again, no kits. Again, there's only 1 player over towards this A site, and they baited the rotation. Even though there's such an aggressive position from Hitmouse, you still see MDS sort of like hesitating. He's more watching the window in case there's a boost up. But it leaves Joe with everything left to do. He's got to win this duel and actually peeks out a little bit too far, shows too much skin and gets punished for it. Is left all onto MDS as the rotation's quite far from Hitmouse. And the bomb's still yet to cross. They really are playing patiently, and that could play into the hands of Hitmouse as he's going to be coming around the back.
Thing is he going to be noticed? He actually does get the walk-off in time. Not looking in this direction. This is going to be potentially a big player. Will it be a mousetrap for him? He's going to come around that corner. The bomb will be planted. MDS is staying alive, most importantly. Actually, I think they have noticed it. He comes around the corner and towards A-ramp, and Davkos again picks up another big frag. MDS left alone now, up against 3. Has a lot of work to do, but unfortunately, won't be able to accomplish that one. And now 14-7 here for Team Spirit.
What do you do? I haven't seen Davkos play this well in a while. Like, he really is just absolutely ruining his opponent, looking like he's coming into this tournament strong. Obviously, a nice double kill coming in from Robo, and again, in that round, I can't really fault him. When you get wrecked, like, partly through a wall with a no-scope running around a corner,
yeah.
I can't really say, oh, yeah, he made the wrong decision there. So that's a painful one, and, well, the bigger pain train for Nemiga is the amount they're having to just force into this one now. The CT side hasn't really seen a proper buy at all.
So a quick little check-in for you guys at home who are not watching the B stream with Gambit versus Simon Gaming. 11-12 in favor Simon. Actually Gambit was able to come back really heavily on that CT side on Train, but that's on the B stream. You can head over to watch Scrawny and Launders casting that match. In the meantime, Scrawnders. That's a little bit too close to something else. But we're going to stay with us to see if Team Spirit's going to close this one out. Move on into the winners match, which will be happening a little bit later on today.
Got some aggression actually out from the CT side. It seems like there's patience this time from Team Spirit. They know that they have a big advantage in terms of the buy, the weaponry, utility, pretty much everything, even the rounds. But we see this is where Nemiga have to make some sort of ludicrous play. Now, what they're currently doing, a complete stack of the B site other than the one man currently up in Palace. Now, obviously, his position, any sound made by Team Spirit will give away the game, and their rotation likely to come in faster from Nemiga the second that happens. The problem is, if they don't make any sound by the time they push into the site, the only value that he has is the fact that he has a perfect flank. But the fact is, with such little utility, there's a lot left to do. But you can see, sound made, movement coming. I think it's going to be a little bit too late.
It's still going to be tough to actually do much with this. Lollipop, though, still could be a big player for them, tucked away inside Palace. I do like the composure that Team Spirit are keeping, realizing they're so close to picking up their first victory here at the Minor. That's a risky plant with no smoke over towards CT spawn. Doesn't matter, he picks up a double kill. Can he get a third? No, Lollipop's going to come in. Lollipop gets a second, and now it's going to be SDY up against 2. Somehow, Nemiga have pulled this one back. 7 seconds left to go. The bomb is going to be so hard to get to. He does get the big kill on MDS, but Lollipop just has to hide. There's no time left. And Nemiga has somehow been able to pull this off.
Oh, he's even going to kill him after time. Put a little extra nail in the coffin and give them a much better chance of bringing this back. The money's just not going to be there for Team Spirit into this round. It started so strongly. The problem I have is I think there were so many players over into CT that they sort of forgot the thing that they initially knew about. Like, the fact is, going into that site, Team Spirit knew they hadn't cleared Palace. There's no doubt in my mind that if they all push through ramp, they go, okay, there could be somebody Palace. But when you see 4 players pushing through CT, everybody on your team goes, there's 4 players CT, right. And all switches. And he just, I think he got even 2, maybe 3 kills in the end with the last kill added in.
Yeah, 3. Well, my question is, why was there no smoke towards CT spawn? Why was there a Molotov instead? I mean, you saw Sophic, he couldn't even get the bomb down because he was being shot at by 3 different players. He actually got himself a nice little quick double kill there, but then the Lollipop swings out wide from Palace and completely turns that round, well, around. So now 8-14 here for Nemiga. Team Spirit going to be on basically the ecos. You can see a couple pistols bought up, but they do have the smokes and the flashbang to come in. It looks like they're going to be going for a hit towards B potentially to get that plant down.
Yeah, good opportunity to just blanket the site with smokes and allow those pistols to get up nice and close. You could pretty much completely isolate short to make sure that nobody can be peeking from that angle. Unfortunately for them, both players are on the side, but Hitmouse got to be a little bit careful. Look how far Dima's actually managed to get the Tech-9 running and gunning, has finished off one, and now it's just the man hiding in the smoke, but Joe again doing fantastic work to try and hold on here, even gets himself the third, and that should be enough to deny any sort of plant and any sort of damage. The only interesting thing is Davkos. Nobody's watching the flank. He could even get both players from behind, but Lollipop, 6th sense, Spidey sense is tingling, will turn around at the last second.
It's that caster's curse there, coming out of you pretty hard today. But still, I mean, you saw Joe there, the Estonian player for Nemiga, able to come up really big with a big 3K, and not to mention it actually has maybe forced Team Spirit to not go for the investment into this round. Because of the denied bomb plant, they're not going to buy up the weaponry, they're not going to buy up a gun round here, and it allows Nemiga now to potentially get things a little bit closer, looking at potentially now a 10-14 scoreline. I say potentially because Dima and Davkos are alive, and you can never count them out.
Yeah, just even then, Dima running into the side last round sort of brought fear into my heart for the Nemiga side, as he did manage to pick off one. looking like some Young's are going to be the one trying to make a bit of a play, but Hitmouse feeling confident. The nade doing a lot of damage as well. As all of the players being whittled down. Dima may even burn to death. He hasn't actually seen anybody yet. He's just been going up in flames, and while the rest of the players are joining him, this is a fantastic show from Utility, from Nemiga, just ruining any sort of purchase. I always like to see that in rounds where you know your opponent hasn't invested much, but you still don't want to risk anything. Yeah, very true. And yeah, even with FAMAS able to come up really well here for Hitmouse. Poor Dima, though. Like you said, he literally saw no one and got taken from 100 to 0. That's and all off Utility. 2 nades and a Molotov on top of things. And here we go now into our 25th round. I honestly did not expect to get here, if I'm completely blunt with you. Oh, not a 9-2. I never thought we would have made it like this. But credit to Nemiga to not let things slip away. And we talked to MBK yesterday a little bit from Vitality. He was saying, you know, you have to be careful of Nemiga because they're going to come in and they're going to click heads, and they're starting to wake up. They're starting to be able to do it here as you see Joe over towards short picks up the first. Aroba's going to be there to at least return and keep that man advantage. Problem is, there's only one man to defend this site. Hitmouse goes down without much done, and although the rotation has managed to find its way in, it's now into a 3 versus 3. The problem is, so many low players currently in the server. Young is going to fall, and MDS takes the only healthy man down and finishes off Sophic as well. The comeback starting to almost look real for Nemiga. The question is, will Team Spirit, well, have a little bit of Team Spirit and turn this one back into their favor? Do you feel good about that one? It had to be done once, you know, just get out of the way. It's Day fine. One, no one else can say it now. Otherwise, they're copying an awful pun, which is arguably even worse. Yeah. Oh, need a shower after potentially doing that. We're going to see another save coming in here for Team Spirit. A couple of pistols again. Tech 9 for Dima, which is interesting to see the Tech 9 being picked up out of him. Yeah, it's one of those weapons that was obviously massively in fashion, then was just dead. Like, no one used it at all. And then it sort of started to creep its way back in. There's obviously the opportunity to still run and gun and spam a little bit. It's the same with the 5.7. There's a few more players starting to pick it back up. Either way, shooting gallery for Lollipop. Starting to show at least his individual talent, his aim. But the fact is, it's obviously a round with just pistols, so not much invested for Team Spirit. The next round will be a properly big buy. They'll have pretty much everything they desire, which is something we haven't actually seen too much from on the T side. I think that was the case for both teams, though. Always seem to be limitations in their economy, but this is where we actually see, okay, they now have finances behind them. And we have Nemiga with a stable economy now. I wonder if they're going to invest into the double AWP setup, or maybe they're thinking that's a little bit too risky, because what they're doing now is working, right? Yeah. Why change it if it's not broken? The thing is, you can always say the opposite, though, of like, okay, yeah, it's not broken, but yeah, it becomes more predictable. You could have the surprise factor. Do you want to limit yourself to not throwing in a setup if you think it's good? Like, that's always the problem. But we'll see what they're going to go for into this round. I think it's a big factor that obviously we're likely to see the AWP back in for Davcost, and considering the sort of first round or the first couple of rounds that they managed to win on their T side were pretty much purely based off of him. Like the round that they managed to win off the SMGs, where he sort of saved them a couple of times. So on that note of Davcost really quickly, I believe he was at like 24 frags at the end of the first half. He's on 25 right now. So he hasn't picked up too many frags in this second half, unfortunately, so he's been a little bit quiet. Dima as well has been relatively quiet, but that's because Nemiga has just been looking fantastic here. And well, speaking of Dima, takes down Robo. Joe's going to get Dima back down, but again, Davcost is going to be there, and he's been a real standout player, but a real staple player for them in this first match. And Cody's now going to add another to the death toll. This is looking pretty bleak for the CT side. Lollipop and Hitmouse trying to save them here, and Cody's just ruined Lollipop once again. It's left all onto Hitmouse. Hasn't had his best game, and oh, okay, a little bit sketchy. Nade going to be thrown in to do some extra damage, or not, never mind. Curse again, but Young will be there to finish it. 15-12, map point, obviously match point as well. It is a best of one situation. And now, well, everything needs to come up trumps for the Nemiga side, because realistically, money's not bad. They're still going to be able to purchase into this one. The bank of Robo and Lollipop will be able to bail them out of any situation they're currently in. AWP can come in onto the CT side as well, so it's pretty much a flawless buy, but that's the same for both teams. And Team Spirit has said the one thing that's sort of been their drought is economy. Since they've had it back in, since they've had the AWP, it has looked a lot better. I wonder if they're going to go a little bit quick-paced here over towards the A site. They're going to come in, not really going to catch too much. SDY is going to get burned down to 48 HP. The Molotov spread a little bit further than he expected. Dima tries to push in, gets taken down to 6 HP. Lollipop
is going to eliminate SDY. You can see a man has actually gotten out from Palace, and that's going to be Coldy who gets the first, but MDS is going to be there from Shadow to take him down, and it looks like Nemiga might be able to pick this round up, might be able to keep their hopes alive, and potentially take us into overtime in our first match here of the CIS Minor. Davkos up against 4. I almost want you to say he's not going to clutch us just to see him clutch it. I almost want to ask you to do that, but it's going to be a little bit too tough for him, and the thing is, you can't even think about saving right now because there's way too much time on the board.
I've learned that the second you call the jinx, it doesn't work anymore. That's the rule of the world. But he's going to go looking over towards the B side. Obviously, the bomb is down on the side, so it's more of a situation where, okay, if he can just bring this AWP, he has enough money already that he can drop another AK to one of his teammates, and they can have a buy. But I would say this round is probably the messiest and most disjointed round we've seen from Team Spirit all the way through this map. Like, that was just an attempt to run through smokes, and it just wasn't good at all.
Funny enough, the other match, Gambit versus Simon Gaming, 15-12 as well, actually.
Yeah, and that's a reset. Nice shot from Davkos. He is going to be... What? His body just launched into the air. What?
I didn't know we were playing Kerbal Space Program.
Oh, that was impressive.
Well, here we go. Nemiga, can they keep this pace up? And honestly, I credit to them. Like, after a half like that, I would be so mentally broken. But maybe that's why I'm a caster, not a player, because you can't let something like that break your spirits. Ha. Yeah. But Nemiga, 13 rounds now, 2 to go to take it into overtime. And again, they have to invest into every round here. And luckily for them, they're still able to maintain a decent set of utility, as MDS is the only one really lacking here.
Yeah, also Davkos with no AWP. And he is one of those players where I feel like his impact is severely diminished. Oh, a little bit of a sneak through. MDS has to be careful. He needs to get out of what is a horrible situation. Robo's going to be the one to attempt to take a repeat, but maybe caught with a nade in hand. MDS well placed. It's going to be the trades back, and the T's have come out on top. It's more left onto Lollipop now. He's been the hero before. He's looking to do it again. Already finds a first, second, maybe the third on the cards as well for Lollipop. And Davkos now left alone, looking to get on towards the site. He may be caught out here, though. Has the bomb in hand. That's at least one saving grace, but Hitmouse is just around the corner. Needs to win this duel and won't. It's 15-14, and, well, they have to now try and do it with very little indeed on that Team Spirit inside.
Tom, how many times has Lollipop now gone massive for his team?
Especially on that exact spot on the A site.
Like, how can you pull this off as well? Because we're seeing a completely different style of holding the A site. We saw Team Spirit like to sit back, go for the retake every time. He was pushed up aggressively in sight and still picks up 3 massive frags. And he was a player you wanted to see, you know, really to look forward coming into this match. And he's doing it here. He might not have the most frags on his team, but 100% he has the most impact frags right now.
Yeah, Blade doesn't find bad players. And if he does, we don't remember them anyway, so it's all good. So you only remember the good players. That's a fact, unless they're so atrociously bad. But then again, I can't think of any off the top of my head. So yeah, it's another one. Obviously, one of the other top players in the server at the moment, Davkos, and the one who played under Blade. So it's just a fact. It's just a fact. Although then again, if you look at Gambit at the moment, maybe there's other arguments to be had.
Yeah, 16-12. Simon Gaming pick up that victory over Gambit, so they move into the winners match of Group A. And if they win that, they're through to the playoffs, and they're one step closer to being into the major. Nemiga gonna push in. It takes down Hitmouse. That's not how you want to lose this match potentially here for Nemiga. Robo's got to hit these shots, and he does. Takes Dima down, but the fake has been sold. They have to play for the retake.
Oh, that's a fantastic fake. They've completely baited them in. The problem is they've lost another man, and they don't have the utility to try and just hold back these players. It's going to come down to just raw individual skill over on the Team Spirit side if they're going to take this home. And you can see the CT's looking to gather up. MDS goes pushing in, traded out, but they have the man advantage, so that's absolutely fine. And already they're falling one by one. It's left on to Young, the man that people sort of say is the star of this team, and he's just getting pushed by all angles. His first map of this minor going to OT. And well, that is one hell of a comeback considering the sort of scoreline.
9-2 in the first half.
Was it 12-5 as well? After winning the pistol. Because 10-5 half, pistol, and second round 1. So they've come from 12-5 down to end at 15-15. Fantastic.
Yeah, amazing stuff for them to really kind of stay together and stick together, considering how the odds seem to be stacked against them. And they're looking much happier. I think they're looking a lot more relieved, considering how things did start off for them here. But it's not over just yet here, Tom. They still obviously have to secure this overtime and potentially get that map on the board. I wonder for Team Spirit, though, are they going to be a little bit hurting mentally considering the lead they did have? Because we're talking about how great it is to see Nemiga come back from this, but to see them struggle now is going to be a little bit odd for them.
Has everybody been given an extra $1 just for luck? It's really weird that everybody's ends in 1 instead of 0, but anyway, not important. It is going to be what I believe is 10K MR3 OT. Well, I don't think we ever do MR5 anymore, so I'd be very surprised, but already nice start. There we go, Davkos on that AWP.
Weird position for MDS to hold alone, because even if you do get that one frag from the guy in underpass or push you in the lower part of short, you're most likely to get returned on, considering they had no one in window either. A little bit of punishment does come in there. Lollipop again. To get a big kill onto Coldie. And more importantly, he gets the information that, hey, there's no one else A ramp. They're potentially heading towards B, and with Hitmouse falling to Dima, I think the call will be made that's going to be heading towards that B side. And this should be Team Spirit starting off strong.
Yeah, this seems to happen a lot of the time where you find you sort of struggle over on that T side to sort of break into the CT side. You get into OT, have all the money, and do it first time. And it's almost like, if we just done this like a few minutes
Right, right. It's because the thing is, you think about momentum, right? And I know that word gets thrown around a lot when it comes to esports in general, but Nemiga definitely had momentum coming into this half, and then they get completely shut down.
Yeah, and the other thing as well with this sort of OT, with only 10K in the bank at the start, you can be reset. If they lose this next round on the CT side, they will have no money for the final round of the OT, which is absolutely horrible. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult situation. Obviously, the sort of 4 players surviving for the T side will pretty much guarantee that in any case they'll be fine. And actually, a lot of the time the Ts don't really run out of money in this sort of circumstance. So 16 to 15. We are just going to be looking at the CT side and see what sort of purchase. Are they going to bring in another double AWP? They've obviously saved one. Will they purchase a second?
For Nemiga or for Team Spirit?
For Nemiga, not for Team.
So they haven't really run double AWP, have
No.
they? So I'd be surprised to see them pull it out here in overtime, but it's definitely something you can't count out, right?
Yeah, the OT special. Like, oh, we have money now.
Well, let's see if they do go that route as we get into the second round here of overtime. And it looks like they're not going to go for the double AWP, but they will have the AUG out of MDS.
Just as good.
Yeah, basically.
Once again, looking for a little bit of a mid-challenge. Obviously, Davkos was the man to find them the opener in the previous round. He's going to be looking for some more with that AWP, and I think the sort of deadliest duo is currently sat in middle for this T side. They have both been fantastic, Dima and Davkos. I think Sum Dayoung has made somewhat of a comeback as well over the last few rounds, but I'm not going to see what they can do. Already, middle control pretty much abandoned. Only Joe trying to take those fights from short. Other than that, it really is only a little bit of positioning in the connector, and the rest of it was more of an early A-site setup. Coldie is pretty much in his home. You'll always see him playing in the sort of palace spot, but the sneak through the smoke from Dima doesn't work. But actually, Stopfik helps quite a lot there for Davkos to get the trade.
All right, so 1-for-1 going to favor the T side. You can see the bomb back towards T spawn, so it's not like they're investing into any rounds. This is just kind of a freestyle. Let's work off picks. Let's try to make something happen in middle. Let's get a frag off of that. Let's hope that another player maybe towards the B palace can catch, or B apartments can catch someone out. Now the bomb being secured, it looks like they will go for the hit towards B, but Hitmouse.
Yeah, this could be a problem. Robo's rotated away. I think they're worried that somebody could boost into the window and catch off any sort of play through CT. He's in fact going to go all the way around. They've got this completely wrong. It's all left onto Hitmouse. He has everything left to do from short. I think if he loses this one, they just have to save. And that's the big problem. The money just isn't there. If they challenge, this is such a risk. Obviously, if you win, okay, we got the chance to get 2 rounds on the board in overtime. You lose all your weaponry, and then the money starts to be a big problem. And I think if they don't find a pick within the next few seconds, the chances are we will just see them save.
And considering how their T side went for them, it's going to be even more risky as they do swap over. Lollipop, though, coming in from short. Be 3-on-4. They need to pick somewhere, and it's going to be at the hands of Lollipop taking on Coldie. But unfortunately, Robo has fallen. MDS gets a massive kill that they're going to need in this round. Down to 2-on-2. Lollipop goes for the spray. He gets another. And Sopfik going to be all alone in B halls, trying to somehow stop this diffuse from coming through. He's going to actually swing out a little bit wide here. Takes them both down! You cannot lose those.
That was, you can even see it. You can see it on their faces. Like, how has that just happened? That is a mistake that they couldn't afford to make. And well, I pretty much said it before they went for any sort of retake. If you lose that, you've screwed your own economy. And that's exactly what's happened here. The money for the CT side is now going to be in real trouble. And Sophic, that is one hell of a clutch to make. That may have just handed them the game. It's actually not as bad as I thought. They've managed to get some rifles on the board, so I suppose it kind of was worth the risk, but even still, there's going to be some limitations. No head armor, not going to be a problem. Obviously, no SMGs could be in play at this time, other than the one, of course, on Hitmouse.
Let's see. Swinging out wide, Robo goes for the re-peek there, and unfortunately cannot catch Dima, who's able to secure, again, another massive kill. 11-6, or sorry, 12-6 now in opening duels for this man.
Is that correct? MDS is 0 and 8 in opening duels.
I believe so.
That's crazy. Don't let that man fight first.
Jeez. It's only the first game, man. You know, you can hold some punches back here. God damn.
Can't argue with the stats.
It's true. I will back you up on that one. So now Team Spirit looking at a flawless T-half in the first half of overtime.
They've gone for the same gamble as last round. The exact same gamble. And, well, okay, it's a trade. Joe does a decent amount of damage, but it's only a trade. And the fact is they now have to go for that same full rotation. Hitmouse is just going to go running straight into the site. Again, doesn't have any support, but he has managed to gain some ground, which means that still the T's have to clear a little bit more than they would have done.
Well, MDS is going to be in towards Kitchen now with AWP. Picking up for one of the first times in this match, and Hitmouse tries to swing around the corner, take down the planter. Not going to be successful, but MDS will be. So it takes down some Die Young. Now Lollipop coming in again. This man has been fantastic in this series, but unfortunately Davkos is going to be a little bit better in that situation. And MDS alone against 2. Might be 0 and 8 in opening duels, but this can be his chance to redeem himself. I just can't track where Coldie's going to be. And there we go. Team Spirit, 18-15. Need 1 round to close this out. And 1 round to get through to play against Simon Gaming in the winners match.
Yeah, and then that's... Well, I would say that's a bit of a let-off for, obviously, the team that gets through, but that team did just go and beat Gambit. Obviously, it's one that we didn't expect too much from. Hopefully, the teams going into those battles did expect a little bit more than we did, because otherwise, maybe whoever goes through, obviously, it's looking like Team Spirit at the moment, but whoever goes through may be meeting the same surprise, and that would be crazy if the first team through to the playoff stage would be Simon, but
yeah.
You know,
well, I think on the other route, one of these 2 teams has to play against Gambit in an elimination match where they'll now be knocked out of the minor.
That is also true, which is arguably worse.
A little bit worse. But here we go now. Team Spirit, Davkos again with the AWP back in his hands. Robo going to have his own on Nemiga's side.
And as you mentioned, Davkos, he was impactful on the T side, but in terms of the heavy numbers, they all came in on the CT side. I think at least 20-odd kills came in on his CT side, so we are just going to be looking to see if he can still do the same. Obviously, Sumdayum still taking quite an aggressive position, and they have learned. Look, they've Molotoved off Dima. He was the big pain in their backside in the previous, where he was just able to push short every round and find a kill every round. He's still going to be there, so they can't just like completely not realize, and while Davkos actually peeks into the window instead, they lose 1 spot and they gain another instead. MDS has taken a little bit of control. He should expect him to be on that short spot, doesn't actually see him, and this could be a problem if he's able to sort of clear them out, and he will. There's Dima, that's the kill from short that I was talking about. This is looking like it could be over as the T's really need to spring into action. Davkos takes another, misses the shot this time, but he's left his team in a 4v2.
Oh, Lollipop, he was the man to really look for on that CT half, keeping Nemiga's hopes alive. He's going to have to do it yet again, up against 4. He's going to get the first into Dima, but the first won't be enough, and Team Spirit will finally be able to take the victory here against Nemiga and advance through into that winners match.
Yeah, I think we have to talk about the fact that it did take so long for Nemiga to get going, because realistically in the second half they played very, very well. Like they managed to, obviously from a 12-5 half, bring it back to go to OT. Obviously it was 15-13 at one point and looking like we were sort of going to see them out of it anyway, but then it got to overtime and it looked like Team Spirit just kicked up another gear.
And it's the team I think we expected to win the match. If you look at past results, you know, the head-to-head is like 5-0 in favor of Spirit, but that's dating back to like the beginning of last year. But it wasn't the route we expected Spirit to get through. They definitely struggled at some points, and we saw Nemiga have a sign of life. But now they're going to be playing against Gambit, and we're going to have Spirit playing against Simon Gaming. And that's going to be, I actually couldn't guess now who's going to win in the winners match.
I'm pretty sure someone can check, but one of the games that I think Nemiga actually managed to win in the sort of qualifier was against Gambit. I'm pretty sure. If
that
not,
knocked him.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup going into that elimination game. Of course, we do have our Group B coming up shortly, and of course the winners match later in the day. But I believe we're going to be handing straight back to Mr. Banks, and well, you got a lot to break down.
We certainly have. Thank you very much, Jason and Tom. And just to put one thing clear there, Tom's not actually that small. Jason's even taller than me. He just makes everyone look really, really short. We've even got Tom a box. He wouldn't usually need one. But what a game to start things off with here, guys. And what a way we had to see it go down. But Spirit, and we talk about the CIS region in general, closing out games a lot of the times, it gets a little bit eerie. I was very nervous then when we went to overtime. I was thinking, Spirit, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was super impressed with the way they came out and sort of like played in the beginning of the game. Obviously, they went up big time. A 10-5 half was a great start for the Spirit guys. But somehow, as you said, they managed to lose 8 out of the 9 last rounds in regular time, and that's just not good enough. No. I think we were talking about it out there as well. You know, the fact that the CIS teams sometimes seem to have trouble closing down the games, that's something they need to work on, because I don't think there's any doubt that Spirit is the better team when you put them up head-to-head. I think the overtime showed that as well. Kudos to them for still keeping it together for the OT, but the fact that it even got to OT was not good enough by Spirit, you know. Yeah. So getting a win, that's good, you know, but if you want to be a team that is qualifying for a major, you got to even out those mistakes, and that's not being disrespectful to Nemiga by any means, but that's just from the Spirit perspective, you got to do better. Yeah, certainly. I think the biggest issue I had there was both teams, T-side was so lackluster, Blair.
Yeah, absolutely, right? But if you look at the way, I mean, both the teams took it to overtime. If you look at the first half, for example, I think Spirit just played some decent standard Counter-Strike to CD side. It was just that Nemiga weren't punishing them enough. Colty was getting so many kills. I think Tom pointed out while he was casting as well. He's getting so many kills on top of the shadow area towards Palace, and he was never getting countered. They had so many rounds where they're just getting shut down. They went for kind of some Hail Mary plays early on, just rushing into sites, hoping to get lucky, not really panning out. So more than Spirit having a crazy CD side, it was more like Nemiga not really showing anything. And then 10-5 scoreline, and then on the CD side for Nemiga, it was more like everyone going off, everyone having like a multi-kill round. Like I think we spoke about, I think it was Lollipop 21K, who had so many crucial kills. Yes, he wasn't top fragging for the team, but he had so many rounds where it was like that one spot towards, I think it was Ninja, in the A-bomb side, where he got like 3 kills just standing right there, like a rock. That shouldn't really be happening. I mean, kudos to these guys. They managed to take it to overtime, but then Spirit finally we saw what we saw from them earlier in that game, where they just like shut it down. So I don't think Spirit's going to be very happy about this, the way they managed to, but at least they closed it out. And for Nemiga, sure, now they're going to go in the lower bracket, but this might just give them a little bit of extra push, because I think they're playing Gambit now.
Ooh, it's going to get interesting, but before we continue to break this one down, let's find out what Stunner has got to say with some of the guys from Team Spirit.
That's right, I got a little bit of spirit down here, and they have survived this first matchup. It got a little bit closer than I think that they imagined, but I've got Victor here to kind of walk me through that first half and really how it was so much in your favor in the first half.
Yeah, we just play our default and our game, so we start really good, and then after we struggle a bit on the second half.
Which is exactly what we all saw. The second half was a little rough. Why do you think you guys hit a block there, a roadblock?
We lost some clutches, and that's make a bit nervous. And after we fix our mentality in tag pauses, we got back in the game.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. You've got to get back into it somehow. But I've got to ask you this, man. If you had to stack up against Simon Gaming or Gambit, who would you want to play?
It doesn't really matter. We prepare to every team in the tournament, so we're ready.
Good, because you're going to be playing Simon Gaming. Gambit has lost. Does that catch you off guard?
Yeah, I didn't expect it at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the sentiment from around the world. Anyway, congratulations on your win. I'm going to let you say some words in your native language, if you don't mind.
Спасибо всем, кто за нас болеет и поддерживает нас. Мы вас очень любим.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. That's right, spasiba, and back over to you at the desk, James.
Thank you, Trace. He could have translated that for us. He spent some time in Ukraine now. I heard his Russian's getting a little bit better.
I did hear a certain word in that. I don't know if you guys did, but what?
Oh, okay.
Just let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah, you clearly got to tell us about what this was afterwards. Either way, they didn't expect that Gambit would lose that first game, and I think that's a sentiment, right, from straight off the bat, because Gambit's a team with a little bit more history in terms of these kind of minors being able to play well across this region and already dropping at the first hurdle. They need to step things up. But Simon Gaming, God, we could hear them roaring like crazy throughout this, couldn't we?
Yeah, they were really loud. I mean, we're far away from the teams that are playing right now, but we could hear them loud and clear where we're sitting. So there's definitely some sound on. As you said, Gambit, a team that has the experience, you know, a team that has the know-how, a team that has won a major before. Some of these players are legends within the region. So I have no doubt that they know how to come back from a deficit like this. But looking at Nemiga's performance here, right, what a disaster for them. They make a great comeback, you know, winning 8 out of 9 rounds in the last regular time here and still falling short in the OT. That's a little bit sad for them, you know. Gives them a little bit of hope, I guess, that they could play to a high level. But now facing Gambit in a best-of-3 game where loser goes out of the tournament, that's tough odds for them, you know. So they must be a little bit disappointed that they didn't manage to pull this one off.
Now, one thing I got to say that I really loved that we heard there from the Spirit team was just the fact that they took that time, they used the pause correctly, reset their mental game, and it showed when they got to overtime, right? Because they just came all guns blazing, they were ready to bring the pain. But it's like, you should have done that earlier, right? It's okay, one thing to say, yep, we need to readjust ourselves. Going into a best-of-3, you're not going to get those kind of chances again, right? The pressure's on the whole way through. You need to make sure that you're fully ready for it. And that kind of shows the cracks in a team that we spoke about has been together quite a long time.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, let's be honest, right? I mean, it's probably, it is, I think, the first event of the year for almost all these teams as well. It's a best-of-1. It's early in the day. It's kind of cold outside. You're just going to shake it up. I think it's a good wake-up call for all the teams. I'm not just talking about the teams who won. Like, for Spirit, it's a good wake-up call. They're like, hey, we can't really slack off here. If we're winning, we need to close it out because it's going to get only tougher and tougher as we go ahead. And for Nemiga as well, they came so close, yet got so far, but still not going to play against Gambit, like James just mentioned right now. Gambit have looked a little shaky. Look, best-of-3s are a whole different ball game altogether. Like we said earlier on the desk, you know, it comes down to how experienced you are as a team. This is where best-of-3s are where experience, deep map pool, and and all the all those cool words that you want to throw around really come into play. So on paper, yes, Gambit would be the favorites over here. Even in the other game where Spirit's going to be playing against Simon Gaming, Spirit should be on paper the better team as well. But then again, it's CIS Counter-Strike. It's always fun. Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. We're going to take a quick look at the bracket as well, just to see how things have worked out across the games to start us off with here today. As you saw, it went the full distance on the game between Spirit and Nemiga that we saw here. Over on the B stream, Simon, they did take down Gambit. That means that Gambit's first best-of-3 is going to go against Nemiga, and then we're going to see Team Spirit take on Simon Gaming. Now, the key thing here is one of these two teams already gets to qualify for the playoffs this early on, right? So it's a nice quick push forward, where if you have to drop down to that lower bracket, you've got a harder, longer route.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's a nice little carrot, for Spirit that they, again, without being disrespectful by any means to Simon Gaming, Spirit are happy right now that they get to get a chance to play a best-of-3 against a team that they should be better than, So they go into another matchup where they're arguably the favorites, and I think they're pretty happy and satisfied with the outcome of that. That said, though, we did see the Simon game. We have a second money inside our room as well. There was some loud plays, there was some individually skilled players in that team as well, so I wouldn't count them out by any means. Whereas for Gambit, going down to the lower bracket, you said it yourself, experience comes in. It's the best-of-3 scenario. If they're good, if Gambit is here to win, if Gambit is here to qualify the major, they will win that game. If not, they'll go out.
Hey, one of those teams will be going out if they cannot get it together. What we're going to be doing is going to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be getting ready to talk about our first best-of-3 of the day. We're going to be doing Simon taking on Spirit. Don't go anywhere.